Dear learners, warm greetings of the day. I welcome you to the another session of the prerequisites, that is examples on definite integration. In the previous videos or introductory classes, you must have learned about the integration. Integration usually comprises of two categories. One of them is definite integration and another one is indefinite integration. The major difference between the two is one contains the arbitrary constant in its solution, another one does not. Right? So, a basic idea behind calculating the definite integration is to get a finite value, because we are here calculating, or the given function is bounded between the interval or between the limits. That is how a layman can understand that it is going to be a finite, because it is bounded between the limits. So I will be throwing light on certain simple examples related to properties of definite integration, or to start with some certain simple examples related to definite integration. So before that, I would like to highlight that what are the different applications for the definite integral. The definite integral has wide applications. The definite integral has wide ranging applications in mathematics, physical sciences, and engineering. The theory and application of statistics, for example, depends heavily on definite integral. Through statistics, many traditionally non mathematical disciplines have become heavily dependent on mathematical ideas. Economics, sociology, psychology, political science, geology, geography, and many other professional fields utilize calculus concepts. Unlike the indefinite integral, which is a function, the definite integral is a numerical value. As we shall see on first inspection, there seems to be no relation between these two objects, but as theory unfolds, their relationship will be revealed. So, in case of definite integral, it is a numerical value. In case of indefinite integral, it simply remains the function along with the arbitrary constant. That is the major difference between the definite and indefinite integral. So what are the different steps? I hope everybody understands that this notation stands for definite integral. When these limits are not given, we can say that it is only a simple integration, or in mathematical term it is indefinite integration. So, what are different steps for calculating such kind of problem which is bounded between the two limits a as well as b? Find the indefinite integral of the given function and let us call it as capital F of x. No need to keep here integration, constant of integration c, because if we consider, we will get this kind of answer. There will be a variation. C will get cancelled. See how we have demonstrated here. When I am putting the limits, it won't be applicable for the constant, it will be applicable only for the given functional value. So I am putting upper limit as b, c remains as it is. I am putting lower limit as a, c remains as it is, and ultimately I am left with capital F of b minus capital F of a. Thus, arbitrary constant disappears in evaluating the value of definite integral. In school level or high school level, you are only taught to remember or keep in mind that in case of indefinite integral, only you write the arbitrary constant. In case of indefinite integral, no need to write. But the reason behind that is here, that it gets cancelled, and therefore we are not writing in the final answer the arbitrary constant. Right? So whenever we are given this functional value after integration, put upper limit as b, lower limit as a, and its value will be f of b minus f of a. Now let us consider some simple example. For you, I have taken certain examples which involves all different kinds, say substitution, simple evaluation, partial fraction method, trigonometric terms, etc., etc. So the very first example is integral 2 to 3. How to read? Lower to upper. Integral 2 to 3 x square dx. Second one is this. We will see it one by one. So in the first example, whenever we are solving any example of integration or integral, let I is equal to denote the given question, so that ultimately I am interested in obtaining the value of this I. So I is equal to the given question, integral 2 to 3 x square dx. Now simple, forget about the limits. What is the integrand over here? Whatever quantity is written inside the integral sign is called as integrand. So integrand is simple integrand x square dx. So it can be compared with the formula for x to the power n. I said that in integration it gets increasing order. So integration of x to the power n is x to the power n plus 1 upon n plus 1. So integration of x square will be x cube upon 3. This is our f of x. Now I have to put the given limits. What are those limits? 2 to 3 means upper limit as 3, lower limit as 2. In place of this x, I put it as 3. What is 3 cube? 3 cube is 27 upon 3 as it is. Minus, what is lower limit? 2 cube. 2 cube is 8 upon 3. Common denominator 27 minus 8 is 19. So what is the value of this integral? 19 upon 3. Similarly, another question. 9 to 4, 4 to 9 is the upper limit. Root x upon this value, but see, this is not very simple to evaluate, so we will be calculating the integration by proper substitution. What is that substitution? This integral, the denominator of the integrand is to be substituted as t. Derivative of constant is 0. X to the power n kind of derivative is n into x to the power n minus 1. This is all the point is. We solve the integral and simplify it, right? So root x dx will be minus 2 by 3 dt. So instead of this root x dx, I will be putting down the value as minus 2 by 3 dt, and integration of 1 upon t square can be easily calculated as minus 1 upon t, and hence my value is this. And now in this integral, I will be putting down the upper limit as 9 and lower limit as 4. Once my integration is over, I will resubstitute the value in the form of x. Why? Because my question contains x. Substitution in the form of variable t is for our convenience, but not for the purpose of final answer. If you see the product of two terms in the denominator, we have to decompose them or resolve them by using partial fraction. What is that method? A upon the first factor, b upon the first factor, and then we calculate the values of a as well as b. After that, we get this particular situation. It can be easily compared with 1 upon ax plus b. What is integration of this 1 upon ax plus b? Integration of the particular term is log of ax plus b upon coefficient of x, that is a. So what I can write here is integration of 1 upon ax plus b is 1 by a log of ax plus b. So upper limit is 2, lower limit is 1. Using logarithmic convention, simplify it, you get the answer as 32 upon 27. This is the integration, minus as it is log of x plus 1 is 1 upon x plus 1 is log of x plus 1. 2 as it is 1 upon x plus 2 will become log of x plus 2. This simplification, n log m is log m to the power n. 3 cube is 27 log 2. 4 square is 16. Add them. Add means log m plus log n is log mn. So take the multiplication. Subtraction will be the division. And we get the final answer. So initially you simplify these two. This becomes log 4 square. What is log 4 square? Log 4 square is log 16. And log 16 plus log 2, product 16 to the 32, and then this subtraction means division, and accordingly we will be getting down the answer for that. Third question, it contains the trigonometric term. I cannot directly integrate, but yes, I can easily substitute. Derivative of sine is cos, and see, whatever contains the power, algebraic power, that is to be properly substituted first. So sine 2t is u, derivative is 2 cos 2t, so that derivative also gets absorbed here, and then simplify, put the value, upper limit and lower limit, you get the answer. The final answer here comes out to be 1 by 8. You must have solved several various examples. Just this is the warm up before going or switching to the our main topics of applied mathematics. Now we can we can deal with certain examples which are related to the properties of definite integration. In the previous video, you must would have been exposed to the various properties of definite integration. Definite integration ka several properties. Number one, if you change the order of the limits, you should multiply by minus irrespective of any variable. Your value of the definite integration remains the same. If the integral is a to c, you split it as a to b, b to c, then another odd function, even function, and several other properties. So in a short, or we shall have a glimpse of certain various examples and how those are solved. The question here is minus 1 to 1, 5x to the power 4 under root of x to the power 5 plus 1 dx. See, looking at the question, it gives it the question itself gives us the hint that this under root has to be removed, and this particular quantity has to be simplified. So better way is use the substitution. So let x to the power 5 plus 1 is t. Derivative of x to the power 5, 5x to the power 4 directly available. So that is again an indication. But note, whenever we are using the substitution, we shall change the limit as well as per the case of substitution. In the previous examples, we solved them independently by taking the integrand by means of indefinite integration, and then if you see in the previous one, we resubstitute the value finally, if you see here, and then we put the limit. Okay, but here we will be now changing the limits as well, so that you need not resubstitute the value. If this particular x is converted to t, appropriately or correspondingly, these limits of x shall also be converted to limits as t, because my whole integrand will now be converted to t, variable t. So if this is the substitution, when x will be minus 1, my t will be 0, because minus 1 to the power 5 will be minus 1, minus 1 plus 1 will be 0. When our x is 1, 1 to the power 5 is 1, 1 plus 1 will be 2. So when x is equal to 1, t is equal to 2. So now, when where x was varying from minus 1 to 1, t will vary from 0 to 2. Completely my question of x is transformed in the variable t, and under root of t is t to the power half. What is integration of t to the power half? T to the power half plus 1 upon half plus 1. Half plus 1 is 3 by 2. So our answer is, after simplification, obviously this is a very simple calculation, mathematical, and your answer should come out as 4 root 2 upon 3. Next, minus pi by 4 to pi by 4 sine square x dx. You would have come across with the property of odd function and even function. Whenever it is minus a to a f of x dx, and if the function is even, we write this as 2 times 0 to a, 2 times 0 to a. So here we observe that square function is always even function, because minus 2 square will also be 4, minus x whole square will also be x square. Always it is to be considered as even function. So whenever it is even function, this integral will be splitted as 2 times 0 to pi by 4 sine square x a. I do not have integration of sine square x directly. In the initial trigonometric introduction formulae, we know that sine square is written as 1 minus cos 2a upon 2. So here sine square x will be written as 1 minus cos 2x upon 2. Separate it individually, this 2 and 2 will get cancelled. Integration of 1 dx will be x. Integration of cos 2x is available, sin 2x upon 2. Put the limits, get the value. Trigonometric angles you know very well. Your answer will be pi by 4 minus 1 by 2. Next, you have studied 0 to a f of x dx is equivalent to, this property is 0 to a f of x dx is equivalent to 0 to a f of a plus x minus 0. Yeah, a plus 0 minus x, which is simply a. So here, sorry, I will write here, is equal to integral 0 to a f of a minus x whole dx. ठीक है, a plus 0 is a and that is to be subtracted. Okay, so 0 to pi by 2 sine to the power 4x upon sine to the power 4x plus cos to the power 4x dx. What is this property? Every x is to be replaced by pi by 2 plus 0 minus x, means pi by 2 minus x, pi by 2 minus x, pi by 2 minus x. If you see, this automatically gets converted to cos, this automatically gets converted to cos, this automatically get converts to sine, and this is your replica of your question. ठीक है, if you add this step and this step, numerator and denominator become same, they get cancelled out, only you are left with the simple term and hence the value. So in such case, wherever higher powers and combination of the terms are involved, we usually try to apply this particular step. Fine. So this was in short a glimpse of the various examples related to properties of definite integration. So you are already knowing the concepts related to definite integration, and then we start with and then we have discussed with the examples, some few examples. There are lot of examples, but we will simply deal with very few for your reference. I hope you have been exposed to a greater extent. Thank you.